In this video, we're going to look at creating action resolvers with Odin 3.0 that will make use of the all-new resolver system. If you missed our earlier video talking about creating value resolvers, you may want to check out that video, and we'll put a link in the top right and in the description below. Resolvers have already been used throughout Odin to convert or resolve a string into values or actions, such as with the showIf or label text attributes. However, the implementation has often been improvised and not particularly well documented. With the new system of resolvers, which are much better documented, it is now far easier for users to create their own attributes that make use of resolved strings. In this video, we want to look at a simple example of implementing an action resolver. To do this, we'll make a new attribute that will add a button above a property and will perform an action when the button is clicked. If you've never created a custom attribute with Odin, you might want to watch some of our earlier videos first. For this attribute, it's going to be very simple and we'll have just one field, which is a string, and the value of that string will be set in the constructor. We also need to create a custom drawer for this attribute. Then, overriding the draw property layout function, we'll create our GUI button and give it a basic label. Then we can call this.callNextDrawer to ensure that the property will still be drawn as it normally would. Then, in order to make our attribute work, we need to set up the action resolver. To do this, we can create an instance of an action resolver. Now do note that you will need to add the serenix.odininspector.editor.actionResolver namespace to get access to the action resolver type. With the variable created, we can then create the instance of the action resolver in the initialize function. Here, we need to pass in the property as well as the action string from the attribute. Then, when the button is pressed, we need to call this.actionResolver.doActions for all selection indices. And that little bit of code is enough to test our new attribute and its ability to resolve a string into an action. To do a quick test, we can set up a simple class with two fields and a method that can get called by our new attribute. On the first field, we can add our attribute, and then as an input string, we can put in the name of the method to be called. On the second field, we can again use our attribute, but rather than call the method, we can add an expression starting with the @ symbol. Note that in this case, our expression itself contains a string, so we've added two backslashes to allow the quotes into the string rather than ending the string. With that complete, we can quickly add our script to a game object and test our new button. We don't even have to enter play mode. As expected, we get a message printed to the console when each button is pressed. Now, while our attribute and resolver are working, if we were to put in a string into the attribute that can't be resolved, we will get no feedback in the console or the inspector. To fix that, all we need to do is add one line to the draw property layout function, which is to call drawError on the action resolver. Then if we go back to our example code and add a string that can't be resolved, we'll get an error shown in the inspector. And that's it. Our attribute and our action resolver are complete and fully working. If we type in a string that can't be resolved, we'll get an error or a warning in the inspector. Make sure you stay tuned for our upcoming video on named values. These can be useful with both value and action resolvers. So until next time, happy game designing.